39 minutes? Yeah, I can beat that. Neon White is a speedrunner's white dream. Get it? Because the game's called... Never mind. This game is known for its insane movement, banger soundtrack, and the women. And Mikey. Due to being built around getting faster and faster times, it makes sense that it has a very competitive speedrunning scene with new records being set every day years after its release. But surely it can't be that hard to learn the routes and try my hand at being the best Neon around. So I gave myself a challenge. Go from never having played to a top 100 runner in a week. Now I know that sounds insane, because it is, but I wanted to see how far I could push the game and myself with this challenge. Little did I know the mental and physical strain I was about to undergo. Alright, it's time to try out the first level and get a feel for how this challenge is gonna go. Okay, I feel pretty good about that. Let's see. I got a silver medal. Looks like there's some work to do. The base game is made out of 12 chapters and 97 levels, but I am doing the White Level Rush speedrun, which oddly enough only includes 96 of the 97 levels. Anyway, you're probably not here to see me struggle on the campaign for 8.5 hours, so let me save you some trouble and beam my playthrough straight into your brain. Now that you're all caught up, there's a few things of note worth mentioning. I made sure to beat every level with at least a gold rating, I'm really bad at boss fight and tripwire levels, I would give my life to save Mikey, and it took 2 days to beat the game. That means I only have 5 days left and I don't know a single level skips yet. Luckily, by getting at least gold on every level, I probably had a better knowledge of the maps and tech in the game than the average player. Oh, and for those who don't know, here's a quick rundown on the game and its most important mechanics. If you have already played the game, you can skip to the timestamp here. Okay, in every level, there are weapon cards and demons. Every card can be used like the gun depicted on it, from a pistol to an RPG, or they can be discarded with a right click to activate its special ability. These are unique for every card and allow for some insane movement. Purify shoots a bomb, Elevate is a double jump, Godspeed is a dash, Stomp is a ground pound, Fireball's a 360 dash, and Dominion is a grappling hook. As for the demons, every one of them needs to be killed before the end of the level will open, so it's usually the main goal of the level. That should be all the basics, and I will try to explain anything else important when it appears. I start day 3 by going straight into the level rush. I figured it would be the best way to reintroduce the early levels I hadn't done in a while and see where I stood in the terms of getting into the top 100. You can probably tell from my first level performance that I had gotten better. Playing for 8 hours will do that for you, but I was still very sloppy and followed the in-game hints instead of better optimized paths. I even messed up the second level twice and was so embarrassed that I restarted the rush and just went the normal route. The third wasn't much better and I forgot one of the demons and had to restart because of it. Now that I am much more experienced, this is so painful to watch, and I'll just put a later run side by side so you can see just how much my movement and pathing would improve in the coming days. I'm not going to make you watch what would be over an hour of an attempt, but to give you some perspective on how bad it went, I restarted 42 times and died another 28. That means that on average I was dying or restarting more than once per level. Dying is terribly inefficient, so my final time was a miserable 86 minutes, which was 3 times what my target goal was. To make matters even worse, when I went to check 100th place on the in-game leaderboard, I learned that I was significantly faster than what it was on speedrun.com. That was a rough start, but I didn't let that get me down, so I came up with an impromptu plan. I was going to take a quick break, watch a speedrun of the game, and then try again with hopefully a better performance. I sat down and watched the 100th place run and tried to internalize as much as I could. I felt a bit better after doing that and geared up for my second and final run of the day. Well, long story short, it did help, but only the tiniest bit. I went from an hour 26 to a blistering fast hour 15. So a 10-minute improvement, which is something, but not good enough. I was able to do some skips I saw and died and restarted a bit less, which is where most of my time was saved. I shut down my computer and called it a night. Day 4. I was really busy, so I only had time for 1 level rush, but it wasn't going well, so I ended it early 2/3 of the way through. Day 5 and 6 was when I really started learning the game and routes. I started by studying the run I was trying to beat. As I rewatched the run, I was surprised by how imperfect it was, with the runner dying way more than I expected. I mean, compared to me, it was essentially deathless, but this gave me some much needed hope. That was at least one clear improvement I could take advantage of. Second, the run was over 3 years old, so there are definitely new routes and tech that I could learn and get faster times times with. I figured the best way to improve my chances of pulling this off is by learning from newer and better runs. I settled on the 96th place run, which was 20 seconds faster and 2 years newer. I also found a very useful video that explains some of the hidden mechanics that would be crucial in improving in my limited time. I settled down and started at the beginning. I played every level in order over and over again until I felt confident in my skills, and then I would try to beat it 3 times in a row to make sure I had the muscle memory down. This process had me pick up a chapter every 30 minutes or so, and I beat most, if not all, of the dev times while I was at it. That's right, if you didn't know, there's actually a secret medal for beating the times the developers got on the levels. Anyway, I think this is where the game really shines, and it is so addicting to try and get better times over and over again. I mean, even while getting some B-roll for this video, I got sucked in and beat some dev times on accident. Day 5 was over before I knew it, and I had learned the first 4 chapters pretty well. Day 6 started with a tough decision. I had realized with the time left, I wouldn't be able to learn all the levels, so I pivoted to learning the longer and more difficult half of the game. The last few chapters are significantly longer and would provide the biggest time save if I could do them right, especially the Book of Life. Due to the massive time save potential there was with the teleporting feature, I would need to master those levels and those before if I wanted any chance at pulling this off. I started with the tripwire levels, another weak area, and slowly learned the routes for the rest of the game. I'll admit, the stress was catching up with me. Trying to learn so much new tech and pathing knowing my time limit was rapidly ending was not a good environment to learn a run. Still, I pressed on, for it is all I could do. I got insanely good at the Holy Ground level, and now as I'm recording this, I am in the top 1700 in the world, which also doubles as a 2-minute time save. Still, that doesn't compare to the Book of Life time save potential. During my first playthrough, I really enjoyed most of these levels, but they also contain my slowest and least favorite one in the game, Marathon Canyon. Luckily, like all the other Book of Life levels, there's a high-risk, high-reward route where with perfect movement, I could essentially skip the level. I made sure to train this level so hard that I could have beaten it in my sleep by the time I was done. The other levels in this chapter went a similar way, and I was extremely confident in them before I had to call it quits for the day. The only thing I was really worried about at this point was that I hadn't been able to practice the boss fights, which was still an area I really struggled with. I saw a top runner describe them as the point where you ascend from being good to being great at the game, and I agree, as there's so much technique to pulling off a good fight, it can either make or break your run. I was aware of a lot of the stuff that I would need to do, but I'd never actually been able to pull any of it off. Day 7, the climax of a week-long effort. The many hours of learning the game and practicing were over, and I just had a few hours to get the best attempt I could. After a quick warm-up, I began. Things were going pretty well. Not perfect, but a very high level I was happy to see. The cracks only started to show once I got to the first boss fight. I was determined to end the fight a phase early and save as much time as possible. I had a very clean start and was getting in as much damage as I could as I chased Green down. I was this close to killing him at the first level of the clock tower, but he got away frames before I could finish him off. This was crushing, and I considered restarting the rush, but I couldn't let all this time go to waste and snapped out of my days and kept going. The rest of the fight went normal, and it was time to face the levels I hadn't been able to practice. My only chance for the next several rounds was utilizing the knowledge I had gotten for playing for 20 hours in a week and the speedruns I had watched. I just went with my gut and did what felt natural, although there were still a lot of cases where that didn't go well. I kept pushing through and eventually I got to the tripwire levels, meaning I was finally in familiar territory. I blazed through everything in my path and thought that my goal might actually be achievable. Eventually, I got to the rocket launcher levels, which is where some more issues arose. I'd been able to study these levels, but they were long and had unintuitive skips, so I had to resort to traditional paths more often as I went on because I couldn't risk dying again and again for a skip I didn't really know. That definitely lost me a lot of time, and I was closing in rapidly on the 1 hour mark. The second boss fight only made matters worse as I kept dying trying to make it through. I finally pulled off a victory right before crossing the 60-minute barrier. Now all that was left were some of the fastest levels in the game that I had made sure to memorize. I let my muscle memory take over as I zoomed through every stage in my way. Not even the last fight with Green, who is a notorious run killer, was able to slow me down, and I finished with a 1 hour 9-minute run, which cut my placement in half to the top 6,000. But that meant I was still far from my goal. Even if I wasn't going to reach what I set out to accomplish, I was going to get a sub-hour run no matter what. I calmed down and started another run, and another. And another. I was so close to the end, and I knew that I only had one more full run in me, so I was going to make sure it was perfect. I restarted the first few levels again and again until I had the perfect beginning, where I finally committed. I was able to beat the first chapter in under 3 minutes. In fact, I was within half a second pace of the 100th place run. You know what? Just to spice things up, I'm gonna blur the on-screen timer. I have to add some suspense after all. After the dozens of hours I put into this game, I had entered a flow state. I was doing skip after skip on the first attempt and never felt so confident in my performance. I didn't even have to restart till level 27, and that was only for a very precise shot in the first few seconds of the level I hit on my second try. I got to the first fight with a determination to finally take him out early. I pulled out all the stops and got him low as I charged up the clock tower. I gave it everything I had, and right before he went up to the next floor, I dished out enough damage and was able to finally take him out, saving myself a good deal of time. I made sure to learn from the mistakes of my previous run and was much more efficient with the middle section of the run. Even when I did mess up, I was confident enough now to improvise a solution that wouldn't cost me too much time. But while this was occurring, something was happening. Not in the game, no, but to my hand while I played. I was so locked in that my mouse arm got extremely tense as I played. It started to really hurt for some reason, bad enough that I commented on it out loud at several points during the run, but I couldn't cut such a good attempt short and had to fight through the pain as I pushed forward. However, once again, the pressure was building up, and not just on my wrist, and I started attempting skips I didn't really know and lost way too much time making the same mistake, something I had previously avoided doing. I even managed to mess up holy ground several times, even though I had grinded it so much that I was in the top few thousand runners. There was one last obstacle between me and my dream run, and that was the fight with Neon Green. Previously, I'd really struggled on him, so now was the time to use everything I learned and finally beat him before his final phase. From the get-go, it was the cleanest I've ever fought him. I got in shot after shot as he moved between his spots, and it was looking like there was a good chance of finishing him early. As he moved to his second to last spot, I was confident in being able to take him out then and there, which I did. Now I only had to do the Book of Life levels. I took some deep breaths, ignored the growing pain in my wrist, and began. And drumroll for the final time, 55 minutes and 5 seconds. Still very far away from my goal, but I was so happy with the sub-hour run that I didn't really care. This put me at 1685th place, which I'll take. As for my wrist, it turns out that I had put so much stress and weight on it during the run that I had slightly dislocated it and had to pop it back into place. It was sore for the next few days, but luckily it wasn't anything that bad. Anyway, I would highly recommend this game to anyone who finds this video interesting, and I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.